Fire burned low, empires crumbled. Still, the old poems kept whispering. Ancient wisdom does not arrive with flashing lights or loud promises. It moves slowly, like a river cutting through stone. Across deserts, mountains, forests, and crowded kingdoms, people once looked at the stars and asked the same questions we still ask today. Why are we here? What makes a good life? How do we survive pain, love, loss, ambition, and time? Their answers were carried through poems, stories, chants, and sacred verses that survived long after the voices themselves disappeared. That is the strange beauty of ancient wisdom. It ages, yet it never grows old. The ancient Chinese philosopher Laozi once wrote, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." In a world obsessed with speed, that quiet line still feels revolutionary. The earliest poems were not written for classrooms or libraries. They were spoken beside fires, repeated in temples, sung in marketplaces, and remembered during wars. In ancient Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh explored friendship, grief, mortality, and the desperate human search for meaning. Even thousands of years later, the emotions inside that poem feel familiar. Gilgamesh loses his closest companion and suddenly realizes that power cannot protect anyone from death. The poem does not offer a magical escape from sorrow. Instead, it quietly reminds readers to value life while it still burns brightly. Ancient wisdom often sounds calm because it was born from people who lived close to uncertainty. Harvests failed. Kingdoms collapsed overnight. Illness arrived without warning. Because life felt fragile, thinkers and poets learned to observe the world carefully. In ancient China, Laozi wrote words that flowed like water. The Tao Te Ching taught that softness can overcome hardness, and stillness can hold enormous strength. Rather than forcing the world into obedience, Laozi encouraged harmony with nature and acceptance of change. Modern life moves fast and loud, yet his message still lands gently in the heart. Sometimes peace comes not from control, but from surrender. In ancient India, wisdom traveled through the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita. These texts explored consciousness, duty, discipline, and spiritual balance. The Bhagavad Gita presents a warrior standing on a battlefield, frozen by doubt before a great conflict. Instead of glorifying violence, the poem turns inward and asks deeper questions about fear, responsibility, and purpose. Its wisdom suggests that human beings suffer when they become trapped by ego and attachment. Calm action, guided by clarity and compassion, becomes the path toward inner freedom. The Greeks approached wisdom through philosophy and tragedy. Thinkers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle questioned justice, truth, and virtue. At the same time, poets and playwrights understood the emotional storms hidden inside human nature. In Homer's Iliad, rage drives heroes toward destruction. In the Odyssey, endurance and patience become greater strengths than brute force. In Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus survives storms, temptations, and endless wandering before reaching home. The poem quietly teaches that patience and endurance often matter more than power. Greek tragedies repeatedly warned audiences about arrogance. Pride, they believed, blinds people until disaster forces them to see clearly again. Those stories still feel relevant because modern society often celebrates confidence without questioning humility. Ancient poetry carried wisdom differently from philosophy. Philosophy explains ideas directly, while poetry slips ideas quietly into memory. A short verse can travel across centuries because rhythm and imagery stay alive in the mind. The Persian poet Rumi wrote lines filled with longing, love, and spiritual wonder. His poems suggest that the human soul constantly searches for connection with something greater than itself. Even readers who know nothing about medieval Persia often feel understood by his words. That emotional bridge is the hidden power of poetry. Japanese haiku also reveal how ancient wisdom can live inside simplicity. Matsuo Basho described frogs jumping into ponds, autumn winds moving through empty roads, and silence resting over old landscapes. On the surface, these poems seem tiny and ordinary, yet they encourage attention to fleeting moments. Ancient wisdom repeatedly teaches that life is not only found in grand victories or dramatic events. Meaning also hides in quiet mornings, changing seasons, shared meals, and passing clouds. Japanese poet Matsuo Basho expressed this through haiku. An old silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. Splash, silence again. The poem turns a tiny moment into something eternal, reminding readers to notice the beauty hidden inside ordinary life. Many ancient traditions believed wisdom required discipline. The Stoics of ancient Rome argued that people should focus only on what they can control. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his private journal while leading an empire, reminded himself to remain calm during chaos. His reflections were deeply human. He struggled with frustration, exhaustion, and disappointment just like anyone else. Stoic wisdom does not erase emotion. Instead, it teaches resilience through perspective. Pain may arrive without permission, but reaction still belongs to the individual. The Bhagavad Gita teaches, you have the right to perform your duty, but not to the fruits of your actions. The wisdom encourages people to focus on effort instead of becoming trapped by anxiety over results. Another remarkable feature of ancient poems is their honesty about suffering. Modern culture sometimes pressures people to appear perfect, successful, and constantly happy. Ancient poets rarely pretended life was easy. Hebrew psalms cried out in despair, Greek tragedies ended in ruin, Chinese poets wrote about loneliness during exile. Arabic poets mourned lost love and fading youth. These voices acknowledged grief openly, which made their wisdom feel real rather than artificial. They understood that sadness is not failure. It is part of being alive. Nature appears constantly in ancient wisdom because earlier civilizations lived closely with the land. Rivers, storms, mountains, deserts, birds, and changing seasons became symbols for emotional and spiritual truths. In indigenous oral traditions around the world, nature was not treated as separate from humanity. Humans belonged to the same living system as forests and animals. This perspective created respect for balance and responsibility. Today, when modern societies struggle with environmental destruction, those ancient teachings feel surprisingly urgent. Ancient poems also understood the danger of greed. Buddhist teachings warned against endless craving because desire without limits creates suffering. Greek myths showed kings destroyed by hunger for power. Chinese philosophers criticized rulers who abandoned compassion for control. Again and again, ancient voices repeated the same lesson. Wealth and status alone cannot satisfy the human spirit. Without wisdom, success becomes empty. Despite their differences, many ancient traditions shared similar ideas. Compassion matters. Pride destroys judgment. Time changes everything. Inner peace is more valuable than endless ambition. Human beings should live with awareness rather than blind impulse. These recurring themes suggest that wisdom is not owned by one culture alone. Different civilizations, separated by oceans and centuries, arrived at remarkably similar truths about life. Ancient poems survive because they speak emotionally instead of mechanically. Facts fade quickly when they carry no feeling. Poetry survives because it touches memory through images and rhythm. A single line can hold an entire philosophy. Consider this thought from the Tao Te Ching. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. The sentence feels simple, almost effortless, but it challenges modern obsession with speed and pressure. Ancient wisdom often works quietly like that. It does not scream. It lingers. Some readers approach ancient wisdom searching for spiritual guidance. Others simply enjoy the beauty of old language and storytelling. Both paths are valuable. Wisdom does not always arrive as a dramatic revelation. Sometimes it arrives gently through repetition, reflection, and silence. A poem read during youth may feel completely different decades later, because experience changes understanding. Ancient texts continue living because readers continue growing. In a noisy age filled with endless notifications, ancient wisdom offers stillness. It encourages patience in a culture obsessed with speed. It values reflection over reaction. Ancient wisdom also carried humor, irony, and playful insight. Not every old text sounded heavy or mysterious. Some poets teased kings, mocked vanity, and laughed at human foolishness. In ancient Egypt, scribes warned students not to become lazy dreamers. In Sanskrit literature, storytellers used animals, tricksters, and wandering sages to reveal moral lessons through entertaining adventures. Wisdom survived because it remained memorable. People remember stories far longer than lectures. That pattern continues today. A calm line from an old poem can sometimes teach more than 1,000 arguments online. The preservation of ancient poems was itself an act of devotion. Monks copied manuscripts by candlelight. Travelers carried verses across deserts and oceans. Elders repeated oral traditions so younger generations would not forget their roots. Every surviving poem is evidence that someone believed those words mattered enough to protect. That human chain of memory connects the present to the distant past in a deeply beautiful way. The old voices still speak with remarkable calmness, reminding modern audiences that peace, humility, courage, and compassion remain timeless strengths worth protecting every single day. Ancient Egyptian teachings once warned, "Do not be proud because of your knowledge." Even after thousands of years, the reminder still feels necessary. True wisdom walks quietly. Their echoes still travel across restless human hearts. If this piece spoke to your mind, drop a comment with your favorite ancient poem or quote, like the video, and subscribe for more calm journeys through history, wisdom, and timeless ideas.